champion in evaluation and a division champion in the international speech contest. His latest achievements in 2020 are being the current club champion in evaluation, table topics, and the humorous speech evaluation contest, and a division champion in the international speech contest. His latest achievements in 2020 are being the current club champion in evaluation, table topics, and the humorous speech evaluation contest, and a division champion in the international speech contest. His latest achievements in 2020 are being the current club champion in evaluation, table topics, and the humorous speech evaluation contest, and a division champion in the international speech contest. His latest achievements in 2020 are being
I think we have a problem with the audio something.
table topics, and the humorous speech.
Cut it up, Linda.
And a division champion in the international speech contest.
Linda.
His latest achievements in 2020 are being
I think we have a problem when you stop the audio something.
table topics, and the humorous speech.
Cut it up.
Mute yourselves, please.
And a division champion in the international speech contest.
Linda.
His latest achievements in 2020 are being
I think we have a problem when you stop the audio something.
table topics, and the humorous speech.
Cut it up.
Mute yourselves, please.
And a division champion in the
Something is going on. Linda, stop recording. Linda.
His latest achievements in 2020 are being
I think, okay.
all right. Continue this. Let me just say the last sentence. And the first place running up in the Tall Tales contest. Please welcome, with the title Being a Champion, Biljana Davceva.
Hey!
Thank you very much, Toastmaster of the Day. Fellow Toastmasters and dear guests, it's really a pleasure and honor to be present in your club. You're friendly, you're vibrant, and very welcoming club. And it's an honor, as I said, to share with you my experience on the journey to becoming a champion and the transformation that I actually had to go through to reach the stage that I'm at now. So I'm just going to share the screen with you. Okay. Okay, right. So from the introduction, you actually heard that I became a Toastmaster in 2015. So it's not a very long time, but I can honestly say that those 5 or 5.5 years I've been a Toastmaster have been full of excitement, full of achievement, and full of learning experiences. Now, when I joined Toastmasters and when I kind of got hooked on the contest, I felt I had a very good starting point. Now, being an English language teacher, I felt I had an excellent command of the English language. After all, I teach English for a living. And I also had passion for writing. I've been writing since I was 10 years old. And I felt that writing speeches wouldn't be a problem for me, that I could just come up with a speech at any time, any day. And being a teacher, it would be easy for me to perform because I do that in my classroom almost every day. And I believe that I have a friendly and likable personality. So what could possibly go wrong? And what would prevent me or stop me from becoming a champion? Well, as life has it, things don't work out always the way we want them to. Now, I'm really blessed to be a member of one of the clubs in Bahrain, which is sort of an institution, Manama Toastmasters Club, which is the mother of all clubs in the Middle East and the Gulf. And it's a club with such a huge legacy that has been in existence for the past 56 years. And it is a club that has members from 13 different nationalities. from all walks of life. So that environment for me was something where I could actually show my talents. I could get quite positive feedback, and I could get the reactions from the audience that I could connect with. But the more I went to perform outside of the club and the higher I went into competition, I sort of found it quite difficult to connect with the audience. Because unlike our club, in Bahrain, there are clubs that are sort of community-based clubs, or clubs where the majority of the members come from one particular culture. And some of the main themes that featured in many contests, considering the fact that many members are expatriates, were stories where people talked about their success or coming from humble beginnings and achieving a status in their society, or the rags from riches stories. And those stories and others which had personal experiences where people sort of show their sufferings in some way, kind of connected with the audience. And I had to think deeply, like, what was it that in my speeches is that it doesn't connect with the audience? Because at times I would see other members, other people winning contests, and yet I felt that my stories were better, that my performance was better. So I had to do some introspection and sort of self-evaluation. I had to go deep and self-evaluate my life profile. I come from Macedonia, from Europe. And 5 years ago, I was the only European in the Toastmasters movement in Bahrain, where the majority were Bahrainis or Indian or Pakistanis. When it comes to background, I come from a middle-class family. And luckily, I didn't suffer in my childhood, nor did I have to struggle through my education to achieve success in my academic studies. And I haven't had major issues in life and was quite successful in my job and academic studies. So I was thinking to myself, what am I going to talk about and how am I going to relay this to the audience? And for a while, this was one of the biggest frustrations which I had, because I realized that I cannot tell those stories which other people had to tell. And at one point, I even told my coach, I cannot compete because I don't have stories to tell. And he stopped and he said, yes, you do have stories to tell. You just have to find them and see which stories work for you. So that was sort of a turning point for me when I promised myself that I am going to tell stories from my life experience, and it doesn't matter how different they would be from other people's stories. But I also had to do other things as well. And I believe that whoever wants to be a champion, who is going to be a champion for a long time, has to look into these aspects. Now, first, I had to identify my talents. None of us has an all-encompassing talent. So I thought to myself, if I don't have those stories of struggle, maybe I can work on other aspects of my talent. What is it that I have inside me that I can bring to the audience? I can bring on stage so that I can connect and the audience can feel my speeches. So whether it's performance, for example, whether it is language, or whether it is the messages you convey, you have to find that deep inside you and take out those talents. So you have to tap into them, bring them to the surface, and share them with the audience. And I also decided, as I said, that I am going to tell true life stories, because I felt that if I haven't experienced the story, I wouldn't be able to tell it in my speech, and I wouldn't sound very convincing. So I had to decompartmentalize and go back to the memories inside my head to see what kind of life experience I can share with the audience. And this is why I decided that from that point, when I realized that I have to change the approach in competing and speaking, that I have to speak and bring out personal and experiential stories and life-changing stories. But I also felt that I have to tell stories which are current and universal. So in a way, That transformational moment was when I realized that I cannot just focus on the contest, that I have to look beyond the contest, and that I have to think about what is it that somebody sitting in another country, somebody who maybe is not a Toastmaster, is dealing with, what kind of issues they are going through life, and what is it that unites us and connects us. So based on that, I actually had to also follow what is current and what is trending. What kind of things plague people these days? What kind of problems and issues they have? And how are those problems and issues or things that matter similar to what I have and I'm going through in my life? But I also needed the mindset of a champion. And what that means is that I had to be focused, determined, and willing to work. And one reason for this decision was also the fact that many times at contests, I've talked to Toastmasters who say, oh, I'm going to compete in the evaluation contest or in the table topics contest because I don't have to prepare. And then that thing which they said made me stubborn. And I said, I want to show myself and others that even for those categories, you have to be at your best to do your best. But it wasn't easy. And one of the things that every champion and every speaker needs to have is a good coach. I'm lucky and sort of blessed that I have had a good coach, Toastmaster Hamza Ali from Bahrain, who has been my coach for the past 3.5 years. He is also a champion, many times, humorous speech champion or international speech champion. And this is something that can help you. It's a plus. But not necessarily. Sometimes you may have a good coach who may not have been a champion or who's not a champion. But you need someone also who has very good analytical skills. Someone who can actually see what is it that your speech is missing, or what is it that you can add in your speech to make it better, to bring it up a notch. As my coach likes to say, we need to add few cherries in your speech, But we need to find the best cherries to put them on top, like on a cake. And you also need to have someone who is dedicated to work with you, because it takes hours and hours of endless practice, practicing different aspects of your speech, your performance, your language, even your voice, to reach that level and to be at your best. You also need a coach who treats you as equal, because the way I look at coaching is as a partnership. You need to have a coach who doesn't seek his own glory, but who sees his legacy in your success. Because if the coach is only after glory, then the success will stop at some point and you will have conflict of interest. So you need someone who is behind you, who will walk behind you, support you, but also who will walk with you. And if you have a coach who knows how to celebrate your highs and how to remedy the lows, then you have scored really high. So when you choose a coach or coaches, choose wisely, because if you choose a good coach, definitely you will have someone who will be on your side and who will help you develop and grow. Now, another thing which was important for me was that initially I was focused mainly on the international speech contest, and I wanted to reach to the World Championship of Public Speaking. Believe it or not, I said, I'm going to do it in the first 2 or 3 years. But then, as we know, it doesn't work like that. So what I had to do is I had to find a champion in myself. And how did I do that? It actually turned out that while I was focused on the international speech contest, I sort of became better in terms of evaluating and in terms of being a good speaker in table topics. I also tried humorous speech, but for a while, nobody laughed at my jokes. I even burst out of the hall crying, and I promised myself I would never compete in the humorous speech contest. I left it aside and I focused on the other categories. And I do believe that one of the reasons how somebody can become an all-encompassing champion is to try out different categories. because they will help you to develop and improve different aspects of your talents, whether it's performance, content, or even presence on stage. And if you can, for example, improve in your evaluations, that is a mini speech. So that mini speech will help you when you're going to create your ultimate masterpiece speech that you would like to present to the world one day. And as I mentioned earlier, different categories let you discover dormant talents that you have inside you. So every time you're given a chance to take a role, it's a good chance to evaluate yourself. What am I good at? What can I bring to the speaker? How can I help them grow by evaluating them or by discussing current issues in table topics? And trying out different categories and competing in them also builds self-confidence, and it gives you exposure to different content environments. The pressure is different. The content you need to bring is different. And here to the forefront comes your vast general knowledge. If you can work on that, that will help you in every category. Another aspect which also helped me to reach the stage I'm at is to expand the speaking. I actually tried to focus on this in the past 2 years. And from just being a speaker and contestant, I sort of transitioned into someone who does workshops, who takes different kinds of roles, who presents at conferences, who is actually trying to build her skills in my field, but also in Toastmasters and other areas in life. And believe it or not, the more I did and the more present I am on stage, the more confident I became. But I also felt that I could actually help others become champions. Because I do believe that we need to perfect and show the art of public speaking. It is an art. And if we actually accept this concept, we will definitely be able not to become better ourselves, but also to make other people better. And it's also a chance to expand your network with people, because it's sort of an unseen transformation that you see in others. And when they succeed, you definitely succeed yourself. And this is something that I have been sort of enjoying in the past year, doing numerous workshops, also being involved in speechcraft, in wild peace, and in other areas of Toastmasters, taking roles as contest chairs or other evaluators or people being involved in organizing events. And this has helped me, as I said, to become more confident. And also it has shown me that I have skills which maybe I thought I didn't have before. Because at one point in my life, I was so shy that I couldn't even go to the shop and ask for bread, to buy bread or milk. And now when I look back at it and when I see these pictures, I feel that what I did in the last 5 years has actually helped me grow as a person. And it has helped me to change the mindset of being a champion. Because my focus now is not on just winning a single contest and reaching the district level or even the world stage. My focus is now to still continue on that path, but along the way to take other people with me so that they can also achieve success in their areas, in their fields, and in their categories. And if I am to give you some tips, these are some things or mantras that I usually stand by. No matter what contest you're competing in, no matter which category or what level you're competing in, you need to be prepared. Never go into a contest with the mindset that I don't have to prepare. Because that day, somebody else will be prepared 10 times more than you are. And you will lose a contest. And you will blame yourself for that. But if you do your best, you have the chance to be the best. Also, make sure to understand that every level of competition requires additional type of preparation, different feedback and analytical skills, analysis. So the higher you go into the competitions, the more complex the preparations become. And you need to consider every little detail in the speech, every little aspect, whether it's movement, whether it's how you change your voice. whether it is how much emotions you need to bring on stage. All of this is important. It's important to also focus on the outcome, not on the other competitors. This was my biggest sort of fault in the beginning. Every time I would see a competitor who has won a contest or who has beaten me in a previous contest, I would say, oh no, that's him again. And that would cause fear in me. But now I go focused on my performance, and I don't want to think about who is competing with me in the contest, which helps me mentally to prepare for my performance. Also, listen to advice from others, but apply only what works well for you. Because the higher you go in the competition, the more people would like to help you and give you advice about changing things in your speech, about adding or deleting things. But you yourself are the owner of the speech, and you eventually have to decide what works for you, what doesn't work. And if you don't feel comfortable with using something in your speech, don't go ahead with it. Stay true to what you believe in. And make sure to stay humble and respectful of others. Because sometimes when we become champions, we may become arrogant, or we may like the glory, we may like the trophies. But if we change the mentality, if we believe in our skills and showcasing our skills, then definitely that will help us to connect with the audience more. And make sure to have a circle of supporters. These are my friends and my coach who always come and attend contests. And this is something that gives me pleasure, because they who are known Toastmasters, many of them can actually see the art I'm enjoying. And at the end, on a final note, I would like to leave you with this quote by Alexander Den Hagen, that champions don't show up to get everything they want. They show up to give everything they have. It takes time to reach the stage to understand this quote. It took me a while to understand it, but I do believe that it kind of summarizes everything that the true champion has. It is hard work, it takes a lot of time, and it may take years for me to break out of my club, area, division, district, and even reach the world stage. But if that happens one day, I know that I will have reached the stage through a lot of hard work, a lot of sacrifice, but a lot of enjoyment and a lot of self-satisfaction, that I found my talent and the skills that I can share with others and help them also become champions. Thank you very much. Back to you, Toastmaster of the Day.
Great. Thank you, Biljana. Great presentation. Great. Incredible. Informative.